Welcome, Autograph Fisherman here, and this is Remember That Show. This is when I pull out a show from our past and do a bio on it. This week it is Thundercats. Genre action/adventure. Sword and Planet. Superhero. Created by Tobin Wolfe. Developed by Leonard Starr. Written by Leonard Starr. Stephen Perry. Directed by Katsuhito Akiyama. Arthur Rankin Jr. Jules Bass. Voices of Larry Kenney, Earl Hammond, Lynn Lipton, Bob McFadden, Peter Newman, Doug Prees, Jerry and Raphael. Opening theme Thundercats. Composer Bernard Hoffer. Country of origin United States. Know of seasons 4. Know of episodes 130. Production. Executive producers Arthur Rankin Jr., Jules Bass. Producers Tony Giovanniello, Matthew Malott, Connie Long, Heather Winters. Animators Topcraft, Season 1. Pacific Animation Corporation, Seasons 2 to 4. Running time 22 minutes. Production companies Rankin/Bass Animated Entertainment. Leisure Concepts, Project Development. Original release. Network syndication. Released January 23rd, 1985. September 29th, 1989. Thundercats is an animated science fantasy television series produced by Rankin/Bass Animated Entertainment and Leisure Concepts. It debuted in 1985, based on the characters created by Tobin Wolfe. The series, for which Leonard Starr was the head writer, follows the adventures of a group of cat-like humanoid aliens. The animation for the episodes was provided by the Japanese studio Pacific Animation Corporation, with Masaki Iizuka as production manager. The studio was acquired in 1989 to form Walt Disney Animation Japan. Season 1 of the show aired in 1985, consisting of 65 episodes. Seasons 2, 3, and 4 each contained 20 episodes, starting with a 5-part story. The series was originally distributed by Rankin/Bass then parent company Telepictures Corporation, which would merge with Lorimar Productions in 1986. In 1989, Lorimar Telepictures was purchased by and folded into Warner Brothers, whose television syndication arm assumed distribution of the show. Warner Brothers had the rights to the series and all Lorimar Telepictures programming. From that point on, Leisure Concepts, which helped co-develop the show, acted as a licensing agent for the series. It also aired on Cartoon Network as part of the Toonami block. There were also several comic book series produced. Marvel Comics version, 1985 to 1988, and 5 series by Wildstorm, an imprint of DC Comics, beginning in 2003. A film adaptation of the series was announced in June 2007. Aurelio Gero was making an animated feature film of Thundercats based on a script written by Paul Soppesi. Jerry O'Flaherty, veteran video game art director, had signed on to direct. The film was planned to be produced by Spring Creek Productions. It was originally set for a summer 2010 release, but the movie has since been put on hold. Concept art for the film has also been leaked online. Production. The first season cost $15 million to make. Stanley Weston oversaw the creation of the series. Plot. Thundercats follows the adventures of the eponymous team of heroes, cat-like humanoid aliens on a planet called Third Earth. 13. The series plot begins with the dying planet Thundra meeting its end, forcing the Thundercats, a sort of Thunderian nobility, to flee their homeworld. The fleet is attacked by the Thunderians' enemies, the mutants of Plundar, who destroy most of the starships in the Thunder Fleet, but spare the flagship, hoping to capture the legendary mystic sword of omens they believe is on board. The sword holds the Eye of Thundra, the source of the Thundercats' power, which is embedded in the hilt. Though the mutants damage the flagship, the power of the Eye drives them back. The damage to the ship means the journey to their original destination is not possible, instead having to journey to Third Earth, which will take much longer than they had anticipated. The eldest of the Thundercats, Jaga, volunteers to pilot the ship while the others sleep in capsules. However, he dies of old age in the process, but not before ensuring they will reach their destination safely. The flagship contains the young lord of the Thundercats, Lion-O, as well as the Thundercats Cheetara, Panthro, Tigra, Wily Kit, and Wily Cat and Snarf. When the Thundercats awaken from their suspended animation on Third Earth after 10 galacto years, Lion-O discovers that his suspension capsule has slowed rather than stopped his aging. He has now become essentially a child in the body of an adult. Together, the Thundercats and the friendly natives of Third Earth construct the Cat's Lair, their new home and headquarters, but before long, the mutants have tracked them down to Third Earth. The intrusion of these two alien races upon the world does not go unnoticed, however, as a demonic, mummified sorcerer, calling himself Mumare, recruits the mutants to aid him in his campaign to acquire the Eye of Thundra and destroy the Thundercats, so that his evil may continue to hold sway over Third Earth. Setting: Season 1. The basic plot above holds strong for the first season of the show, and serve as the basis for a vast array of stories that freely mixed elements of science fiction and fantasy into a traditional good versus evil tale that steadily introduced more and more recurring allies and villains into the world of the Thundercats. Futuristic technology is just as central to the series as magic and myth, but even in the midst of all this action, the series never underemphasizes the importance of moral values in solving problems. Each episode would normally include a short denouement, featuring the characters recuperating after the events of the story and taking the time to single out a personal value or a wholesome approach that helped save the day, or could have done so if they had seen it. The first half of Season 1 featured a gentle continuity, with early episodes following on from one another and establishing recurring concepts, although this became less common as the season transitioned into its second half, which comprised mostly incidental one-shot adventures. Tying the second half of Season 1 together was the overarching 5-part adventure written by series head writer Leonard Starr, Lion-O's Anointment, in which an unarmed Lion-O faced off against first each of the other Thundercats, and then Mumare, so he could truly earn his title as Lord of the Thundercats. The 5 parts were: Day 1, the Trial of Strength. Lion-O had to outdo Panthro in a strength contest. Day 2, the Trial of Speed. Lion-O had to beat Cheetara in a race. Day 3, the Trial of Cunning. Lion-O had to outwit both of the Thunder Kittens, Wily Cat and Wily Kit, in an underground location. Day 4, the Trial of Mind Power. Lion-O was pitted against Tigra in a mind-based challenge. Last day, the Trial of Evil. Lion-O had to defeat Mumare. In his Trial of Evil, Lion-O discovered that Mumare was highly dependent on the sarcophagus inside which he had been mummified. On all 4 days except the last, the mutants tried to interfere with Lion-O's trials so that they could force the Thundercats to remain leaderless. The other Thundercats were each then forced to involve themselves in the conflict specifically to foil the mutants' interferences, all while trying to avoid assisting Lion-O in his anointment trials. Although intended to be viewed consecutively, as the adventures depicted occurred one day after the other, the 5 parts of the miniseries were erroneously aired and released on DVD, with multiple other episodes between each installment. Season 2. When the series returned in 1987, it was revealed that the evil wizard Mumare had survived. Thundercats Ho! And its follow-up, Mumare Lives, set the pattern for the following 3 seasons, each of which began with a 5-part miniseries, again written by Leonard Starr, that established the new characters and concepts that would go on to influence the rest of the season. In the case of Mumare Lives, these concepts included the debut of the villainous Lunatics, which became a 3rd faction that existed for the rest of the series, and the new team of Thundercats from Thundercats, Ho, receiving their own headquarters and vehicles. Season 3. The 1988 season began with the Peter Lawrence scripted Thundercubs, which, though named for its plot about the Thundercats being transformed into children, was principally about Mumare reconstructing Thundra in order to retrieve both the weapon that had originally destroyed it, the Sword of Plundar, and the legendary treasure of Thundra. In the course of the adventure, the treasure, containing the Book of Omens, a tome holding all the secrets of the Thundercats and many other mystical items, was scattered across the new Thundra, ushering in a new concept for the series. A season with an actual story arc continuity between episodes became tighter as the Thundercats, mutants, Lunatics, and Mum-Ra alternated their adventures between Third Earth and New Thundera, searching for the treasure and exploiting its powers. The season also featured the running theme of the ancient spirits of evil having to take a more active hand in pushing Mum-Ra into action, culminating in another unique feature of the season, an actual finale episode, The Last Day, in which the ancient spirits of evil give Mum-Ra one last chance to destroy the Thundercats by sunset. Besides demonstrating their threat by making Mama disappear, the ancient spirits of evil stated that Mum-Ra's failure will also have the mutants and the Lunatics removed from Third Earth as well. Ultimately, Mum-Ra failed and the ancient spirits of evil exiled him to the farthest corner of the universe. Season 4. In the opening miniseries, Peter Lawrence's Return to Thundera, the Thundercats returned to New Thundera to rebuild their society, but before departing, they destroyed Mum-Ra's pyramid. This enraged the ancient spirits of evil to the point that they brought Mum-Ra back and installed it within a new pyramid on New Thundera. The season proved to be quite divorced from what had gone before, with adventures consigned almost entirely to New Thundera, and most villainous opposition coming from either Mum-Ra or assorted new villains. The mutants, Lunatics, and Captain Cracker all returned for one episode each. However, in the series finale, several conclusions are reached. Mum-Ra stands up to and successfully asserts himself over the ancient spirits of evil. The mystery of the Book of Omens is at last solved. The tumultuous and terrifying environment of Thundera is at last rendered peaceful and pristine. Cast. Despite its large cast of characters, Thundercats featured a rather small circle of voice actors, with only 6 actors providing voices for the entire first season. Every actor provided multiple voices, although the distinctive baritone of Earl Hyman Panthro left the actor providing only very occasional guest voices in comparison with his fellow performers. In particular, as the first season's only female actor, Lynn Lipton, Chidera, and Wily Kit provided voices for every single female character that appeared in the season. Earl Hammond, Mum-Ra, and Jaga, and Bob McFadden, Snarf, and Slide would most regularly provide the voices of guest characters. 1980's Thundercats, Ho, added Jerry and Raphael to the cast as the voice of Pumara, while 1987's Mum-Ra Lives saw the addition of Doug Prees as the voice of Alluro, Larry Kenny Lion-O Jackalman, Tugmug Raidero, Snarf Egbert, Earl Hyman Panthro Red-Eye, Ancient Spirits of Evil Not Applicable, Earl Hammond Jaga Mum-Ra, Vulture Man, Amok Snarf Oswald, Roby Arbil, Robear Burbles, Snowman of Hook Mountain, Hammerhand, Captain Cracker, Peter Newman Tigra, Wily Cat, Bengali Monkey and Hatchaman, Lynn Lipton Cheetara, Wily Kit Luna Willa, Nada, Mandora the Evil Chaser, Bob McFadden Snarf, Lynx-O, Snarfer Sly the Groon the Destroyer, Driller, Mole Master, Quickpick, Captain Shiner, Jerry and Raphael Pumarachilla Jagera, Doug Prees Alluro, Reception. In January 2009, IGN named Thundercats as the 49th best show in the top 100 best animated TV shows. Spin-offs. Film. On November 16, 1987, a VHS called Thundercats Ho was released in the UK by Video Collection International. The film was submitted to the BBFC, who recorded it being 90 minutes and 31 seconds, excluding 5 seconds cut for a universal rating. It was actually the first 5 episodes of Season 2 edited to look like a feature-length film. Season 2 never aired in the UK. This VHS may have been shown on American TV by stations without access to the individual episodes. In 2008 to 2009, Warner Brothers was in the process of creating an animated film based on Thundercats. It was rumored to be an original story expanding on the events of the first episode, and the film's concept artwork, released in July 2009, contained the main character Lion-O in 3 locations. A 2-minute test scene was filmed and presented to Warner Brothers. However, The movie has been put on indefinite hold, perhaps due to the critical and commercial failure of the 2008 movie Speed Racer, another Warner Brothers CGI project. In March 2021, it was announced that Warner Brothers was once more actively developing a live-action Thundercats film with Adam Wingard attached to direct the film, with a screenplay by Wingard and Simon Barrett, and Roy Lee and Dan Lin serving as producers. 2011 series, a new Thundercats animated series produced by Warner Brothers Animation, began airing on Cartoon Network from July 2011. Animation production was provided by Japanese animation studio 4 Degrees Celsius. Sam Register was the executive producer and was joined by Michael Jelenic and Ethan Spalding as the producers for the series. The show explained Lion-O's ascension to the Thunderian throne with a more original feel and darker style than the 1980s series. The new series made it clear in the very beginning, however, that they are not adhering to the original storyline. In the original series, the Thundercats leave Thundera as the last of their race, to eventually arrive on the Third Earth. In the new series, the very first line states that the Thunderians are already on the Third Earth. As the first few episodes progress, the new writers seem to use Thundera, but it is not clear if they are referring to a planet or kingdom. Former Lion-O voice actor Larry Kenney returned to play the role Lion-O's father Claudius in the opening 2-part episode of the new series. In January 2011, a promotional poster featuring reimagined designs for Lion-O, Chitara, Panthro, and Tigra, as well as design for the sort of omens and vehicles, were shown at the London Toy Fair. The series began airing on Cartoon Network on July 29, 2011 with an hour-long premiere, while the UK premiere on Cartoon Network began on September 10th the same year. Despite an early positive response, with the animation in particular receiving heavy praise from critics, the series failed to make any real impact, and viewing figures slowly declined after the first episode, with blame falling on a relatively dark and complicated storyline, considering the show was aimed at 6 to 12-year-olds. Merchandise struggled to sell, and as a result, the show was canceled after only 1 season. Comic books. There were also several comic book series produced. A Thundercats comic book series based on the animated series was originally published by Marvel Comics through its Star Comics imprint in 1985, lasting for 3 years and 24 issues. During this time, a new series was published by Marvel UK consisting of 129 issues and was also published for 3 years. Beginning in 2002, Thundercats titles were published by Wildstorm Productions, an imprint of DC Comics, Warner Brothers' corporate sibling, and included 5 non-canon miniseries and several one-shots. Dynamite would partner with WB, create a new Thundercats comic with a spin-off Cheetos comic released in July 2024. Video games. 2 video games based on the franchise exist. Thundercats, The Lost Eye of Thunder, a 1987 side-scrolling video game, and Thundercats, a 2012 Nintendo DS game based on the show's revival. Many years later, Cartoon Network's official website featured a game that allowed visitors to play as Lion-O and rescue fellow Thundercats while venturing into Mum-Ra's tomb. This game, titled Thundercats, Tomb of Mum-Ra, can be found on an archived Toonami database. Merchandise. LJN produced the Thundercats action figures from 1984 to 1987. 38. The Thundercats line was based on the animated series, which was actually created in 1983. Due to difficulties, it would not air until 1985. Each figure had an action feature of some sort, and the line also included a unique laser light-up feature that interacted between the Cat's Lair playset, some figures, and some accessories. Lion-O's eyes and Mum-Ra's eyes would illuminate when a special battery-powered key ring that came with the figure was pressed into a slot in their backs. PVC companions were packaged with some figures in 1986, including Wily Cat with Tigra, Wily Kit with Chitara, Snarf with Lion-O, and Mama with Mum-Ra. The PVC companion figures were also produced as full-size, articulated figures. LJN did produce a few variant figures, including the young Tigra version and the silver rat-eye daggers for Rotaro. There are also a few slight color variations of Lion-O, such as red and orange-haired versions. The third series of figures from 1987 are harder to find, along with the Tungosaurus and Astral Moat Monster. Driller and Stinger are the toughest figures to track down. Stinger's wings are very fragile, making it next to impossible to find a loose, complete figure. An unproduced final series of figures would have included the Mad Bubbler, Red Eye of the Lunatics, Rotilla, Cannon Blaster, and Quick Jaws from the Berserkers, as well as the Feliner, Thunderstrike, and Lunatacker. Photos of these were featured in the 1987 LJN catalog. Other Thundercats merchandise of the 1980s included, among other items, a board game, TV tray table, an electronic racing set, tin lunchbox, clothing, and apparel. A retro spurt occurred in the mid-1990s and 2000s that began with the familiar 1980s Thundercats emblem on t-shirts, and has since grown to include new t-shirt designs and various other Thundercats-themed apparel, such as hats and belt buckles, plus a tan backpack with the Thundercats on it. In May 2009, Warner Brothers gave Hard Hero the rights to produce a line of collectible statues based on the Thundercats characters. In 2011, Bandai released a new toy lines based on both the classic and the 2011 series. In February 2011, Mesco Toys acquired the Thundercats license to produce large-scale Rotocast figures based on the 1980s animated series. Lion-O was the first announced figure in their toy line. Jerry Macaluso, owner of Pop Culture Shock Collectible Statue Company, announced in March 2010 that he had acquired his dream license. The company went on to produce premium format Thundercat statues, 1:4 scale, over 30 inches, of Lion-O and Mamare. Prototypes of Chitara and Tigra were developed and displayed online and at San Diego Comic-Con, respectively, but did not reach minimum pre-order thresholds. The prototypes were donated to the Thundercats Museum in 2014. Well, that was another Remember That show. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts about Thundercats, let me know them in the comments. I would like to read them. If you have any thoughts about any shows you would like to see be done, let me know them in the comments. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned till next week. As always, until next time, keep on collecting. Bye.